I talked to themed entertainment designer Kathrynn Cobbs about the 3 attractions that have had the biggest influence on her and her career. You are listening to episode 402 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. It is me, Lee. I have managed to, I think Chris Tracy and Darren are all still in lockdown, but I've managed to squeeze myself out for my government-sanctioned hour out of quarantine. But I am joined by Kathrynn. So Kathrynn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It is good to have you on and to talk to someone other than the other two people I share my house with at the moment.
I feel the same way. As lovely as they are, it's nice to see and talk to another person.
It really is. So, Kathrynn, you are a themed entertainment veteran at this point, having worked in the industry for about 15 years, you said?
Roughly, but in different capacities. Because I started working at Disneyland when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah. So from that point on, I've been in some capacity of themed entertainment.
I think that's the thing. People think theme parks, and it's become a much bigger thing. The themed entertainment industry goes way beyond theme parks at this point. Oh, yeah. And sometimes those are the fun projects, is the exhibits and the cool things that are still immersive and IP driven, but aren't necessarily a traditional theme park ride or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah. Cool stuff.
Is there anything, Kathrynn, that you will have worked on that our listeners will know that you're allowed to talk to us about?
Yeah. So I worked on the Hunger Games, the exhibition, which toured the U.S. a couple years ago and went to Australia. There's a version of it that now permanently resides in Las Vegas, but it's a slightly modified version than the original. I had a small hand, albeit, in the Celestina Warbeck show.
Nice.
Yes, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I've been very fortunate to touch lots of Potter-related projects, but that's a good one.
Knew there was a reason you and I were friends.
Oh yeah, so big time. So those are kind of two ones that I think are more well known. And then, if it happens, Expo 2020 was a project that I touched. Ooh. It's in Dubai and worked on some entertainment for that. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
It's so weird. It's so weird at the moment.
It anyway, is a weird time.
We do not need to talk about that. This is getting away from all the crap that's going on in the world and
exactly
immersing ourselves in the theme parks that we can't go to currently.
Yes, let's live in the world of being there in our minds.
Absolutely. Right. So for those of you who are new to the show and haven't listened to the previous ones, go and listen to them. They're awesome. So far, I have had Adam Bezak, Julia Zimmerman, Andy DeGenova. I think you know him, don't you, Kathrynn?
I do know him, yeah.
Justin Martin, and of course, Jason Sorrell. So the task I gave Kathrynn was the same that I gave everyone else, and that is to come up with the 3 attractions that have had the biggest influence on her as a person and her career, and let me know why they've had that influence. And as I've said to you, Kathrynn, it's more about why that attraction had the influence on you than the attraction itself.
Yeah. That was a hard question. I hope you know that I have wrestled with a list of like 10 for months since we chatted about this.
It's if you struggle to come up with 3.
That's true.
As I said to you before we recorded, it's going to be very interesting because I think there's 2 attractions that everyone has had at least one on their list so far.
Right.
It will be interesting to see if you have any of those 2.
I want to say that these are slightly obscure.
That's good.
But just given my specific specialties and career, and we'll see.
Well, Adam threw everything out of the water the first interview I did because I wanted it was supposed to be specifically theme park attractions, and the first one he came up with some museum somewhere, and I was like, okay, fair enough.
Oh, was his Museum of Science and Industry?
Quite possibly.
The coal miner ride?
Yes.
Because that could have easily made my list because I did go there as a kid, and it is pretty freaking great, but it's
awesome.
Not quite.
Yeah.
But I respect his decision.
Cool. Right. Well, let's not mess around.
Cool.
Kathrynn, what is your first attraction?
Well, I have to preface all of these with saying I grew up in Southern California. I was 20 minutes from Disneyland and about an hour from Universal Studios Hollywood. And my first trip to Florida was not until 2006.
Wow.
Right. So So what has influenced me over time is definitely the West Coast of the US. So you're going to notice a trend. So my very first one is the Alice in Wonderland dark ride at Disneyland.
I hear many people speak very fondly of it.
Yes, it is pretty awesome. And a part of why I picked it is, Disneyland being a kind of a staple of my upbringing. It was one of the three attractions that I always needed to go on whenever I was there as I was growing up. So it's not like any of the other Disney dark rides. It has something more to offer, and I feel like it's probably the most immersive of the dark rides that are at Disneyland, and does the most with scenic paint and depth and trying to change perspective, because the whole time you feel like you're going down, but you're really going up for most of it. Because you end up on the second floor of the attraction. So it's very subtle kind of how you get up to that point, and then when you kind of come down it. So I'm
trying to get my head wrapped around how you could be going, feel like you're going down, but actually going up.
Well, it's a lot about perspective.
Yes.
And I think the first kind of part of it is you go up a little bit right when you get into the ride vehicle. And then as you go into the actual dark ride, it's Alice falling down the rabbit hole into Wonderland. And the way that the show set is, the perspective takes you down, but you are still going up slightly. So I find it really fascinating just because it's completely disorienting.
Yes.
There are things about that attraction that I can't figure out, or I'm just too excited and immersed in everything that's happening that I don't notice after a while. And I think that this ride opened in some capacity in 1958, but in its current ride was open in 1984. It got a slight update in 2014. They added some media to it, and I think that's only really enhanced the ride. Yeah. It's a really good example too of a much older attraction getting a refresh that really truly enhanced it, as opposed to taking something away from it. And I think for us in this industry, it's important to do that. If we're enhancing a ride or we're refurbishing a ride or an attraction or show or whatever, it really has to elevate the experience and not take away from it. Yes. I think it's really easy to say, oh, we'll add some media and that will make it better. But it's, that sometimes I think kind of takes away from the immersion of it. And that's why we go to theme parks, right? To be immersed in these worlds. So.
It's the one thing we talk about on the show about Universal Orlando, that they don't really look after those older attractions now, and I do understand why, but it's sad sometimes when you look at something like my favourite attraction at the parks, Men in Black, is I love that ride so much, but it is in desperate need of some TLC.
Yeah, and it's funny is for us, I think in my brain, anytime I'm in a theme park and I'm going through attractions that I love and have held dear for years, my first thought is how could we enhance this but still make it so wonderful? And Men in Black's a really great example of that. It's a fantastic ride, but with just a little TLC and maybe just a few small tweaks, it could even be enhanced more. You and I were jokingly talking about the Tea Adventure, which is definitely shows its age, but every time I'm on that ride, and especially when I'm with colleagues, we're constantly well, if you just, all you had to do is change the projection of how E.T. flies on the moon, and that would just be one little thing that would just make it a little bit better. And it's because you don't want to ruin the magic of what it already is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. I know because we're desperate to get out to the West Coast at some point.
Yeah.
And to do Universal Hollywood and Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland. And I know the Alice in Wonder Dark Ride would be something that Tracy would be desperate to get on, because I know she's a huge fan of it. A huge fan of Alice in Wonderland, not the ride, because she hasn't been on it.
Well, and I think too, there's something artistic about the style of Alice in Wonderland that I always find really inspiring. The shapes and the scale of the flowers and the characters, and I find it just really artistically inspiring. When I'm painting or drawing or thinking of designs, I always look at reference images or artwork from that film as well.
I think it's a Disney film that lends itself quite well. I mean, obviously, I haven't been on the ride or even seen anything from it, but I think when you look at that blacklight paint that Disney used a lot, I can imagine that it really fits the color palette for something like Alice in Wonderland. Like just thinking about the Cheshire Cat, it sounds perfect for that.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy, like black lights, obviously, like the paint is very common in a dark ride, but I think where Alice in Wonderland uses it well is the blending and the depth that they create in the actual scenic paint. It feels more real and 3D even when it's just a flat.
Cool.
And I love that. I mean, give me a good scenic flat and I'm in. The strange thing to say, but yeah.
Yeah, we all like our own things in our own way. Look, I like Fast and Furious. Who am I to judge?
I know you do.
And I genuinely do at this point as well. And I'm going to own it. I don't care.
Well, then you might actually like my second choice.
Ooh, well, that was a great segue, by the way, Kathryn, and I will lead you into it.
Oh, well, my second choice is the Universal Studios Hollywood Studio Tour.
Ah, that's a big one. That's a bit of a...
It is a big one.
Is that this is the one you hinted at me that was a bigger thing, was it, or not? Because you kind of said there's one thing that's like lots of things, but is this that or not?
I don't think this was that.
Okay.
I think, well, maybe it was. I don't know. I had so many things on my list when I talked to you. I just kept like trying not to give it away. But and I told you they were slightly obscure and strange, but I'm trying to fit your bill.
But hey, I would have allowed you to go anywhere you want, Kathryn. At the end of the day, you're the one that leads this. It's about what influenced you.
Thanks. So yeah, the studio tour has obviously another attraction that's been around a very long time and changed dramatically over different phases. I worked at USH as a performer many, many, many years ago. And Universal Hollywood was part of one of the first theme parks I've ever been to. So it holds a special place in my heart for starters. But what I love about it is it's an in-world attraction that's in the real world.
Yes.
And I think when we talk about Fast and Furious, sometimes I bring this point up, which is the point of the Universal Studios tour is to be part of the films, is to be part of movies and how movies are made. You go through Kong and you're immersed in this moment of the film, but then you're also told like how this was created and what went into it and what Weta did. And even the same with Jaws. You drive away from the Jaws moment where you're kind of in the middle of a scene in the film and then you watch the shark back up as Steven Spielberg talks about how the shark on set hardly ever worked at all. And I was part of the film industry a couple times in my life, and I did some acting, and I've been in some things, and I lived in Los Angeles, and so being part of the movie industry, I always find completely fascinating. And as somebody immersed in it, to find it fascinating is one thing, but as somebody coming to that park, just knowing the kind of glitz and glamour of the film industry, it really gives you such a realistic, almost true in many aspects, look into how movies are made and I think that's what's so cool is like it immerses you into something that is completely real. You know, we can go on a ride and live in Alice in Wonderland's like time and world and movie, but this is like now this happens every day. This is somebody's livelihood or many people's livelihoods. And I just find that so magical. Like that's such a cool opportunity that guests have when they go to USH. You know, I think a lot of the older parts of the attraction still really hold up. The whole earthquake is one of my favorite sequences. And yeah, it's been around a really long time.
Yeah,
and
the flash flood sequence I've seen quite a few times still looks really impressive.
Yeah, it always looks really impressive. And this is like such a tiny little thing, but when you go into these sound stages, there's a real attention to detail and a sense of humor. And it's what I kind of really love about Universal is there's always a sense of humor, a bit of like you're in on the joke with things. There's I want to say it's like some type of orange juice, but the ad says shake well. So when you go into the subway station in Earthquake, you see an ad, it says shake well, and there's a couple other like little like nods to like what's about to happen before the big earthquake hits. So, and having lived through many earthquakes, being a Californian, it's pretty realistic, if I would say. I mean, aside from the whole like, scenario,
exploding and the roads caving in and stuff. Yeah.
But the feeling of the ground shaking is pretty, it's terrifying in real life. So, why not terrify guests that way?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you look at like that behind the scenes of movie making thing in theme parks has pretty much disappeared at this point.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood studios have, I want to say 100% stepped away from that at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. I was at Disneyland Paris Hollywood Studios, I think 2 years ago, and they still had their studio tour, but it was so just stripped at this point. Things that still exist there are films no one's ever heard of. I can't remember. It's just something with, somebody would know if I, and I'll hear about it later, but the dinosaurs, some dinosaur movie is like the only thing still left as part of that tour. But Universal Hollywood continues to try to enhance the tour, and I think even the Whoopi to Jimmy, like any enhancement that's been made for the most part has been, an improvement as opposed to take away from it.
Well, I like Jimmy Fallon, so I think I'll be quite happy with it. It seems to be, like Tracy and I were discussing it the other day, the Race Through New York in Universal Studios Florida. We actually really like that attraction.
I do too, yeah.
But I think you get out of it what you get out of it depending on your feelings towards Jimmy Fallon himself.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I do think, Jimmy Fallon, a lot of us got into Saturday Night Live or were old enough to watch Saturday Night Live when he was on it and kind of knew him. There's a generation of us who like essentially grew up with him on our televisions and now see him host the Tonight Show. He is the Jay Leno for that generation. Yeah. And to see him in an attraction, I think makes sense for all of those people that kind of know him and love him in your home, right?
Yeah.
And he's a fantastic host. I think his segments of the tour are really great, and I really enjoy them. And I think they're even more in world than some of the Whoopi segments were before, because some of those were starting to feel very dated, and his are a little more timeless too.
I mean, looking at that tram tour as well. I mean, it's if you've been to Universal Orlando, I mean, obviously you can speak more to this than I can, Kathryn, having visited both. But I think if you've been to Universal Orlando and are thinking about going to Universal Hollywood, the tram tour is the reason to go. And Waterworld. And Waterworld.
And Waterworld. Waterworld is really an incredible show in every park that it's in. But the tram tour is the crown jewel of Universal. And I think what's important is the tram tour opened in 1964 is the reason Universal theme parks exist. And it's important. I always feel like it's important to honor our theme park history. And that is such a important part of theme park history and Universal history.
Yeah.
That was something that Carl Laemmle opened up his backlot to guests to watch films be made, when his lot opened up for the first time, right? So, this is kind of a way of continuing to honor that tradition, the same way Disney does with Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse and all the ways that they honor their own history.
I think it's one of those attractions, like you look at everything else, like we've just mentioned, everything else is closing down and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think because Universal Studios Hollywood is still an active filming location, I think that means that it'll probably be around, even though they're pulling everything down around it and building all these new attractions and stuff, like they've built the Wizarding World and now they're putting Secret Life of Pets in. I think the tram tour will still, I think you'll still see it there for a good long time yet.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they have always made a conscious effort to hold the parts of the tour that are specific to the tour staying on the lot. There's many times because of the proximity to homes, you have Whoville and Psycho House and that whole area, but those are also still active filming locations. I can't tell you how many car and insurance commercials I've seen film on the War of the Worlds set. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, if you want to like just picture the Allstate guy being like, "Do you want this to happen to your home?" And it's like,
no.
Yeah, there's a giant airplane behind you.
I still love that they still have the actor playing Norman Bates there every time a tram goes past.
Yeah.
So, Kathryn, is that guy's only job? Does he sit and I'm assuming it's not an actual motel at this point. It's probably just a facade, but I'm assuming he sits out the back and has a cup of tea and then, there's another tram coming along, out we go.
Oh, yeah. You would be surprised how quickly trams come by. Like the throughput of trams on a busy day, they may be backed up so that Norman Bates is seeing a tram every 2 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's I won't go too crazy into it, but yeah, on a really slow day, it might be 10 minutes, but on a very fast day, it's like 30 seconds or less in between trams. So it's a busy area of the lot, I would say. And it's not an area that's frequently filmed in too, so it's very rarely shut down. If it's shut, it's usually because there's something being filmed in the adjacent area.
Yeah, it's like a Halloween Horror Night scare acted job. I can imagine it's fun for a little bit, and then when you're doing it every 2 minutes for the next hour or whatever before you're like, ugh, I'm done now. But it is. I love the fact that they still do it, because they could have just not bothered with that anymore and just had, there's Bates Motel and off you go. And the fact that they still have that actor there is good, because we've lamented it on the show for a long time that live actors and team members and cast members in attractions nowadays aren't there as much as they used to be.
Yeah. And I think that is this should, for me especially, I almost have a specialty when it comes to entertainment. I've worked on a lot more shows, parades, Celestina, we talked about earlier, but, stuff like that. Like entertainment has been my kind of expertise. And part of that is I feel that a live performer, a team member, and really at Universal especially, can change a person's entire vacation and day.
Agreed.
In the positive way, usually. And, and the studio tour actually is a great example of that, because that tour is customized depending on who your tour guide is.
Yeah.
They're the ones selecting all the clips. They're the ones trying to read the audience, and they're, getting information on the fly as to what areas are closed, and depending on, they have to change that entire attraction every single time they take off to go. And they have to stay, excited and upbeat and into it, and for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the live actor part of it, there was a nighttime studio tour a couple of years ago, which was fantastic. And I wish that elements of that could be brought back into the day. But Marilyn Monroe came out of a small trailer in New York Street. She did a little moment where she did a twirl and waved to the trams. And there was a musical cue and some great lighting. And then when you went to the little Europe area, they lit it so beautifully. And then Frankenstein came out as if he was terrorizing the town, because that's where all the monster movies were done. So you had Norman Bates as well on that tour. But, I think those elements of that tour should always stay. And I hope they do, because they really are really cool theatrical moments that you just don't expect.
Going back to my interview with Justin Martin, we did Poseidon's Fury last year for the first time in a long time. Oh. I used to, until I did it last year, and it is so dated, it is untrue. But again, up to the final show scene, it's still really, really good. But it desperately, we're talking about giving things TLC, that's something that could desperately need it. And it wouldn't take much to bring it up to today's standards. But again, it's that thing where it is largely live actor led. Yeah. And that's the reason I don't want to see that attraction go, because once that goes, I think that's pretty much everything at Universal Orlando horror makeup, like like an actual attraction rather than a sort of sit down show. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on Science Fury. I think it's pretty cool.
Like Justin
Yeah.
said, that water vortex thing is just, it's
Oh my God.
breathtaking.
That was referenced in more creative sessions that I have been in than almost any other thing, just for anything in general, between cruise ships and circus shows and like you name the project, that has been referenced in it.
Well, where else can you see that? You've never seen that
Right.
anywhere else, and it's awesome.
No.
Unless you wear glasses, and then it's not awesome, apparently. As Tracy keeps telling me, because it's warm and wet, and you can't see anything when you come out of that tunnel.
I'll have to wear my glasses next time I'm on it, just for solidarity for Tracy.
I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
I won't experience it the way she experiences it.
Right, so that's 2 down. We have I think we've got no overlap so far, actually.
Yeah. Well, I know this last one, there is no overlap.
Okay, interesting.
For
right,
sure.
so we will take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and we will be right back.
Have you taken a stroll down Diagon Alley and visited Gringotts Bank? Taken a ride through New York with Jimmy Fallon? Visited the Truffula trees in Seuss Landing, or hung out with a real-life Transformer? No? Then what are you waiting for? At Universal Orlando Resort, there truly is an option for everyone. Or if you're leaning a little more towards pixie dust rather than wands and potions, Disney destinations around the globe await your arrival. No matter the adventure, our sponsors have you covered. Be sure to let the experts at Mouse Muggle Travel Company take care of all your travel needs, earning the distinction of being an earmarked agency specializing in Disney destinations, as well as becoming one of the first to be named a You Preferred agency with Universal Parks and Resorts Vacations. Mouse Muggle Travel Company will ensure you receive top-rated customer service. Just visit mouseandmuggle.com to fill out a no-obligation quote request, or send your request to info@mouseandmuggle.com. Their team can take care of you no matter where in the world you want to go. With a flick of their wand and a little bit of pixie dust, the process will be so seamless, some might even say it's simply magical.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I am, as I said, joined by Kathryn, and we are on to her final attraction. And as we said, so far we have no overlap. So, Kathryn, what is your third and final attraction?
Well, so when you and I were talking, I think last night, I said there's one thing that I am absolutely 100% sure goes on my list, and this is it. And we talked about my kind of expertise and experience with entertainment specifically. So it is the Animazement show at the Fantasyland Theater from 1997 at Disneyland.
I have no idea what that is.
Good news for you, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Somebody has uploaded a 25-minute video of the show. And I actually recently, because everyone's kind of home and doing all sorts of questionnaires and quizzes and things like that, I've seen many of my former Disney colleagues post about this show. So I know I'm not alone. But Animazement was a show that pulled from the Disney Renaissance, all of the shows, the movies that came out in that era. So Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Hunchback, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, and combined all of these characters and music into what I think is the most exhausting 25-minute show I've ever seen. And this was a show, as a child, I would not leave the park without seeing. Like, I'd like to think I wasn't a bratty kid, but this was something that my mom knew we had to go to this because I loved it so much, and I thought it was just so incredible. And I think it has not just impacted me in my career, but in my life. It was like the reason I wanted to take dance and the reason I wanted to perform. And for a long time was a reason that I wanted to be an animator and took drawing lessons. And this show had such a profound impact on me. And the reason I say it's exhaustive is, that character Stefan from Saturday Night Live? This show has everything.
Okay.
It does, though. It has everything. It is stunts, an audience plant. There's lifts. The choreography is insane. There's fog machines, characters, confetti more than once. heroes, villains, puppets, kites. Like it has as many freaking songs as you can possibly put in one show. There's actually, so One Jump from Aladdin, One Jump Ahead of the Breadline, that whole sequence is also mixed in with Hellfire from A Hunchback of Notre Dame, and a segment where Hades comes out and does his, does a couple lines from Hercules. It sounds so random, but it is one of the best examples of transitions in entertainment I've seen. And it's like, it's very unexpected. At the end of the One Jump sequence, Aladdin jumps into a trapdoor and there's a big splash, and they change the scenery quickly enough to get into Under the Sea. And the transition is, if you just said like Aladdin transitions into Little Mermaid, you'd be like, what? But they do it really well. And what I've seen in the years after this show is that almost every Disney theatrical production I have seen, I was on the cruise ship recently and saw what they had, all 3 shows the nights that we were on there. I've been to Disney parks all around the world. Almost every show has pulled from an element out of this show. And what's crazy is this was a show that was put together because they had just closed a Beauty and the Beast show, a Pocahontas show, and a Hunchback show, and they had some assets that they could repurpose. So it was born out of like, we have these things, we need to make something out of what we already have. But then they went a step further and they reconfigured those set pieces, those costumes and props, so that you wouldn't have completely recognized them from those previous shows either. And there are so many set pieces in the show. I do not know where they all hide them because I've been in that theater and it's not very big. But they make it work, so well. And I refer to the show constantly whenever I'm developing something that's a live show, because there's something like 30 performers. They all play different roles, but you would never kind of guess what the different tracks are. And so when somebody's like, I don't know if we can do that, I'm like, well, Animazement could do it, and that was 1997.
So if they can do it in 1997, they can do it now.
Well, and the other part of that is this was before media became, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but this was before media became a main staple in theme park shows.
Yeah. It's
really easy now to have an LED screen and media play behind performers. And at this time, that wasn't quite, as incorporated into those shows. So all they have behind all these set pieces is a lit cyclorama that changes color. But you don't ever notice it because the way the set pieces move and the way that they bring on other aspects of scenery, you would never know that behind that stage is literally just a big white cyc.
Yeah, I'm actually watching it now as we are talking, and it's quite impressive.
Isn't it? 1997.
Like the castle set opens up into like a ton of different things. It's quite impressive.
It's incredible. And the fact that you think about when that show opened, it's better. I think it's better than some of the shows I have seen open on that same stage years later. It really, one of the best parts of the show, and I haven't seen it ever musically done, is there's a trio of Just Around the River Bend, Go the Distance, and Out There.
Okay.
And Pocahontas, Hercules, Teen Hercules, and Quasimodo do a trio together.
That's a boy band.
I know, right? It's very strange. But it is a really beautiful part of the show. And and it shows that this show is not just like, let's hit you with every single Disney musical number that you want to see, which I feel like a lot of the shows do now. Is like, we got to have a Be Our Guest moment, got to have a One Jump moment, or a Genie song. You have to do Circle of Life. We check all these boxes. This checked those boxes before those were the boxes.
Right.
But it went a step further to try and incorporate other pieces musically. So Out There, at the end of the trio, Out There transitions into Topsy Turvy Day, which is another great example of why the transitions in the show are really well done. Is you just kind of wouldn't see that coming, because you would think, oh, Hunchback, now we've checked those boxes, we'll move on and somebody else will come on. No, like it really takes time to do those transitions like well and give each of those movies justice on stage.
Yeah.
It's, it's a full cast. Every musical number is a full cast.
Oh, it's impressive. The costuming is impressive. Although I'm just watching a technician come from out the back because one of the tables didn't lock in place properly and he's having to
but that's live theater for you.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, even more than just entertainment with the show, the timing of it is really well done. For a time, for having been created in a time when we weren't, as a society, trying to get everything to happen so quickly, it delivered on that. So you were never bored. It is easily what could have been an hour and a half long show in 25 minutes. And so when I think about, the flow of an attraction, of a ride, or how a certain storytelling exhibit needs to take place, I think about the timing of this and how if you transition something well, people forget how long or short it is.
Yes.
Because they're just totally immersed in every moment of what's happening. Yeah. That was not the hard decision for me. It was like, yes, animazement. Now I need to think
it's a really good one, because just shows in general in theme parks now aren't as prevalent as they used to be. Anyway, which is sad. Which, again, one of the things we've talked about quite a lot. Theme parks need them. You need for 3 reasons. People need somewhere just to chill out but still be entertained.
Yeah.
Because theme parks are. I'm getting old, and they take the toll on you a little bit more when you get past a certain age.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a nap. I'm not saying that. We went to Epcot in February, and I found the American Adventure very enlightening.
And comfortable.
Nice 20-minute nap in that show. But no, nothing against the attraction itself. But sometimes you just need that, and just to be able to get out of the sun. But then also just for purely people eating, is getting people out of the lines for the attractions and giving them something to do. And there aren't many shows around so much, especially at Universal Orlando now. It's quite sad because I think we talked about it recently, that a lot of the shows at Universal now are like Celestina Warbeck. They're not a sit down, and I mean you can, but then a lot of people are stood up, so it's more a stand up show like that. And then the Tale of the Three Brothers and the Fountain of Fair Fortune, and then over in Hogsmeade you've got the Frog Choir. They're not a sit down, chill out, take your weight off your feet kind of show.
Right.
And theme parks need them, and it's not something that there is a lot of about anymore, and it's sad. I'm glad that the Born Stuntacular looks like it's going to be in that vein, and actually looks really entertaining. Actually, I think a lot of people were kind of like, Born? What? And then we've seen the behind the scenes stuff and gone, do you know what? That looks really good.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Waterworld too. I mean, speaking of Universal stunt shows, Waterworld is a show that 3,000 people can experience at once. And it is a very entertaining show. And it is the same kind of show where so much happens. The timing in that show is really well done, and people forget how long they're sitting there, how short they're sitting there, but they feel like they're taken away just getting to sit down for 25 minutes. Yeah, I am the person in a room in every theme park meeting that's like, but what are the shows? What are the entertainment? What is the atmosphere? Like, how can we enhance that with performers, or how can we add to that? I think Halloween Horror Nights, we talked about, I think you and I were talking about, because we both love Halloween Horror Nights, and I, that could have easily made my list as something totally different. But that was the one where I was like, does this count? And you were like, no.
I think Andy tried to sneak that one in on me, and I was like, no, that's a little too broad.
But, Halloween Horror Nights, if you think about it, just break down, it is multiple entertainment experiences, and people friggin' love it. And there's a reason, is like, there is a cool theatrical element to the immersive part of that.
Yeah.
So I would love to, and I hope that I have more opportunities to bring more entertainment to theme parks all over the world.
Like, not taking just the houses and the scare zones out of it, you're right, they're just a big theatrical element, but then just look at the shows they did. Last year, Marathon of Mayhem was amazing. It was
cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We saw the cinematic Celebration. I keep getting it spectacular when it starts. It's Celebration now. For the first time in February. And unfortunately, because I saw Marathon of Mayhem first, I watched that and went, it was okay. Marathon of Mayhem brought me to tears.
I think that's a content thing, though, right? Like, the content of Halloween Horror Nights is kind of super fun, right? So and especially that year with, Stranger Things and Ghostbusters and, Killer Clowns. That made for such a really fun show.
Yeah, it really did. It was so good.
But not to go back to Animazement again, but I always will. You have to take things, when you're blending different IPs or blending different stories and things like that together, you have to make sure that they blend together well.
Yes.
And the transitions make sense. And I think whenever you watch a show that does blend multiple pieces of content, the transitions should be one of the first things on the list to check before that thing goes out the gate. Like a show like the Cinematic Spectacular, or show even like Fantasmic at Disneyland, which is another really, Walt Disney World has a version of it, but it's another show that blends a lot of different stories and IPs. The transitions have to make sense.
Yes.
They really do. Or it feels like this thing, now this thing, now this thing, now this thing. And that doesn't feel good as an audience member. You're kind of like, okay, we're checking boxes again.
Yeah. And everyone's super aware of that nowadays, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. 3 entirely different attractions that nobody has picked. So I'll give you the 2 attractions that are on nearly everybody's list. Are the Haunted Mansion of Pirates of the Caribbean. Everyone has those 2.
Oh, for sure.
And of course, you understand why, because they're awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yes. And Pirates at Shanghai could easily have been on my list, but I just don't think it's been around long enough to make a big enough impact. Yes.
But yeah, that is the prime example of what we've talked about, of taking something that's old and it's like it's in Disneyland, it's in Walt Disney World, but then taking that premise and plussing it with today's technology and making it one of the most amazing attractions. It's that the Johnny Depp character right at the beginning where it does the thing from the Black Pearl where he goes from a person to a skeleton. Am I remembering that right? And it looks,
that's right.
Just like you sit there going, how the hell did they do that?
And it's like, it's semi-older technology, but it still reads so well. But the other thing that ride does very well is how it blends practical set pieces with media and enhances the experience. And you never stop in front of a media screen. It's not like a stop, go. It's like everything is very well blended together. And the scale. Oh my God. My jaw dropped. My mouth was wide open the first time I rode that ride. And more often than not, it still is. And you don't even want to know how many times I've ridden it.
No, I do.
Yeah. When the world is in a different state of being, I live in Beijing and I have an annual pass to Shanghai Disneyland. And I'd say we probably try to go every 2 months or so, and because it's about 4 hours away, we'll stay for the weekend. So if we're there for 3 days, we will ride the ride at least twice every day that we're there, if not more times.
Okay, that's a lot then.
It's a lot. It's quite a lot.
Who cares?
Oh gosh, but I love it. So good.
Awesome. Right, Kathrynn, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
As always, it takes me back to February, and I wish we were back there again, but unfortunately we're not. So
I know. Me too. I'd like to go back to February.
My fingers are crossed for October.
Same.
Luckily, we're at the end of October, so I've got plenty of time to get there. So hopefully all this crap will have gone by then, and we can just get back on with our lives.
Yes, I agree.
So yes, that will wrap up episode 402 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. And we will end the show, as we always do, with Universal Is. And this one, I have asked Kathrynn if she will honour us with it. But of course, if you want to be involved, email us what you think Universal is to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. And remember, that is Universal Is in 3 words or less. And we will share them on the end of the show. And Kathrynn, will you please tell us what you think Universal is?
I say Universal is joy.
Stay safe, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Guess that wraps things up for another unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. You guys did all right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere podcasts are found. You can find our blog at uuopodcast.com. Send us your spews, which Lou gets your poo recordings, questions, or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Check out our friends the Theme Park Duo and our awesome sponsors Mouse and Muggle Travel Company. So, until next time, don't give up your day job, say cheese, and see you later.